If you've heard about the great tax benefits of hiring your kids, but the child labor laws have you a little bit spooked, then stick around because we're going to be talking about what's actually true when it comes to the age that you can hire your kids, and you might be surprised. I'm Jamie Trill, CPA and profit strategist, and I love talking about the topic of hiring your kids. And there is so much misinformation out there. Let me tell you, this is one of those areas where people will get into knockdown, drag out fights in comments on social media about what's true and what's false when it relates to hiring your kids. So the first thing that I want to start off by saying is that when I talk about hiring your kids, I don't mean doing it for exploitative purposes, right? This is not about hiring your kids for cheap labor. I'm talking about hiring them in a reasonable capacity to actually work for your business, right? And to be able to pay them. And that allows you to move income into a lower or perhaps 0% tax bracket from whatever your tax bracket is. It also opens up a lot of amazing opportunities for your kids, such as learning about how to work in a business, learning some great skills for life later, opening conversations about finances with your kids, and also allows you the ability to open a Roth IRA for them and allow compound interest to start super early, which I cannot overstate enough how important that is. So again, if you are watching this video because you want to find out how to get around the child labor laws and want to employ them in your business to do dangerous things, absolutely not. That's not what we're talking about here. We're also not talking about how to employ them in your business. We're talking about really how to do this the legit and proper way so that you're covered from a tax and legal perspective. So of course, because we are talking about tax and legal things here, I have to give the disclaimer and say that I am #not a lawyer. So definitely make sure to go get this checked out on your own if you need to. I'm putting all the citations down in the show notes. And even though I am a CPA, I'm not your CPA. So again, please take this with a grain of salt and do your own research and talk to your financial service providers before you take any steps. So let's talk about what age you could legally hire your child. Now, a normal age to hire a child is typically 14 based on child labor laws, okay? So typically in a regular business, any job is not going to be able to hire your kid unless they are 14 or older, except the FLSA, which is the Fair Labor Standards Act, actually makes exemptions for parent-owned businesses. Now, of course, I don't want you to just take my word for it. Here's the actual Department of Labor website that talks about this specific exemption and the fact that children under 14 are allowed to be employed if they fall into one of these exemption categories. So there are certain things, right, like delivering newspapers, that makes sense. Working as an actor, we all know child actors exist out there. Things like that, reasonable jobs for kids that would actually make sense. And also work for a business owned entirely by your parents, as long as you are not employed in mining, manufacturing, or any of those hazardous occupations, which I'm going to link this down below so you can click on it. If you're not sure if you're in a hazardous occupation, I would imagine you would know that. But if you're not sure, right, you can actually check out what those are. You can also check back. We're talking right now about federal rules, and that's really important to state here. So federally, meaning, the federal rules say it is totally fine to do. However, your state could have more stringent rules, although what I've found is when it comes to state rules, typically they follow this same exemption as the Federal Department of Labor. However, they may have extra things you need to do, like getting a work permit or something like that for kids of a certain age. So just check with your state. Again, you can go here and you can see what those different states' rules are just by clicking on the link. So you might be wondering, what does it mean to be an entirely parent-owned business? Okay, and this is where it can get a little bit sticky. This is how you determine if this exemption applies to your business. If you are a corporation, unfortunately, this isn't going to generally apply to you, okay? You have to be either an LLC who is not elected to be taxed as a corporation, or just a sole proprietorship, maybe it's even just you, right? Then you would qualify under this parent exception as long as there are no other owners other than you and perhaps the other parent, right? So that's the important thing. If you have a multi-member, let's say LLC, or a general partnership, and some of those additional partners are actually not parents of the child, then this exemption does not work. Okay, so this is only if the parents are solely owning, either one or both are solely owning the business, and the business is not a corporation. Now, does that mean you're totally out of luck with hiring your kids if your child is under 14 and you are a corporation, or you have multiple different other partners that are not parents within your business? No, there are still ways you can hire your children and you can take advantage of this exemption. It just takes a little bit more work. I have an entire video dedicated to this concept over on my channel. Go to my video that is all about family management companies. That is essentially a workaround, but is a legal workaround if you do it correctly in order to be able to hire your kids, get the same tax benefits, and be able to hire them under the age of 14 if you choose to do so. But there are a lot of things you need to keep in mind, and you want to do this correctly. Now, this is definitely one of those areas that you want to have your ducks in a row. You want to have your documentation beautifully done to be able to support this, because if you ever do get audited in the future, then that's something that you're going to be glad that you have. So just make sure that you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Now, one thing to talk about real quick before we go is the fact that even though maybe you can hire them legally in your business if they are a minor and under the age of 14, that doesn't mean that you can hire them for any job, right? So we talked about the hazardous job thing, but also those jobs, if they're going to stand up under audit, if you are ever audited, right? You need to make sure you're justifying not only the job that they are doing, they actually need to be working, you're documenting it, the amount of pay that you are paying them makes sense and is reasonable. We can't go inflating the amount we pay them just because we are wanting to get a bigger deduction and have more of a shift in income from your tax bracket to theirs. The IRS is on to that. So you need to make sure that whatever you are paying them is something that makes sense and is defensible. And you want to keep those records really, really well and really, really clean. So one quick tip I'll give you, if you're thinking about things, especially for younger children, that they could actually do in your business, modeling and acting is something that a lot of business owners pay their kids for, including myself. So my son will show up in YouTube videos with me from time to time. He really enjoys that, and he gets paid for that. My kids will both sometimes show up in various different marketing. You'll see them. I have a whole hiring your kids toolkit, wink, wink. And they are part of the marketing for that, and they get paid for that. So that is an option. If you are using them maybe already in your marketing and advertising, that's something that you could pay them for and likely justify a higher rate than what you would have to pay them for kind of an hourly admin job. Now, of course, as I started with, this is not about exploitation of minors. This is about giving them important work experience, bonding opportunities with you, learning about money and how to manage it, and bonus, setting them up financially for their future, all while you're getting an additional tax deduction and saving on taxes. So that sounds like a win, 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 and something that I am a huge, huge proponent of. So if you want more information, definitely check out the links below. Grab that free guide that I talked about, jamietrell.com/kid tax guide, or check out the link below, and I'll see you next time.